live on today's webinar. Welcome to today's Money Hero Club live webinar presentation featuring financial educator, YouTuber, and successful investor, James Pelton. Hi, James. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Yes. Hi. So everybody, my name is Manu. I'm a moderator on the Discord server for Money Hero Club. And today we will be talking to James, our newest investment guardian that we're welcoming into our investment club. So today in the webinar, you will learn about investment strategies, growth strategies, diversification strategies, as well as insider strategies. Basically, you will learn what is the mindset of a successful investor, how to go about investments, and how to do it in a smart way. So today we will go into an interview with James, and we will also present you the Money Hero Club. The Money Hero Club is a club for investors who would like to invest like the rich. It's basically a club for, well, for, to see what current investments successful investors are involved in, and they give some tips to our members in the launches. So you can basically imagine it a little bit as if you're sitting in a business launch or in a county club, and you're having, you're privy to some investment decisions of some of the most successful people out there, something that is not easily found in most people's social circles. I know that I don't have too many successful investors in my personal circle of friends. So it's great to have this access to a great many people in a convenient way in Web3 on a Discord server. And that is what Money Hero Club is all about. So James, you said earlier that you're in Colorado right now.
Yes. Yeah, we took a little trip. Just drove up to the mountains, and we're kind of in the middle of a snowstorm right now. So this actually worked out well because I'm stuck in the cabin. So, what better thing to do than talk a little bit about crypto?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. I'm looking forward to be going to the mountains myself before I go back to Asia at the end of this year. So yeah, I wish I was there in the mountains right now as well. I can imagine it must be beautiful out there, especially with a lot of snow, with a bunch of friends in a cabin. I bet you guys are having a wonderful time over there.
Yeah, we are, except for the driving. So we tried to go somewhere yesterday, and then we kept getting stuck on the way back up the mountain. We would just get stuck in the middle of the road.
All right.
So, we made it safely, so we're good. We're good to go.
All right. You have winter tires, I assume. I assume you have to in Colorado, right?
We should, but we do not. So.
Ooh. Yeah. That's something that I made sure before I went to the trip to Austria. I'm going. I really want to have the winter tires because I'm worried going up all the mountain, these steep serpentine mountain ways. But yeah, lots of fun. So, yes. So Money Hero Club is basically your alpha hub for getting, the secret information of what the big financial players are up to. And yeah, let's start a little bit with our guardian and with our investment guardian interview with a general introduction of you, James. All right. So James, you are first and foremost a family man. You're very religious, and you have already become successful because you turned your business that you yourself founded into a successful venture and use that momentum to propel your journey to become a successful crypto investor. And today we would love to hear more about your journey, about your mindset, and yeah, just learn more about you so that we can present you to our community.
That sounds great. Happy to answer whatever questions you guys might have.
All right, great. So, well, I already asked you what's the weather like in Colorado. It's snowy and lovely. And I've also, well, anyways, What have you been up to lately? I know that you're traveling a lot throughout the world. I heard you are in Dubai, you're here and there. Tell me, what's going on in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of travel here recently. So yeah, I went to Malta in July and then went to Dubai here a few weeks ago. I think we're going to South Africa to meet up with the Warfight team at Chicken Chaser Crypto. If you guys know him, Jason, I'm going to be going to South Africa to hang out with him for a bit. So a lot of travel and been spending a lot of time with the family recently. And yeah, that's kind of been what I spend most of my time doing. Like you mentioned, I am very religious, I guess, if you want to call it, say that. So I spend a lot of time just in prayer and just, asking God to take care of me and give me wisdom and help me through my life. So those are I'd say, yeah, those are the main three things that I've been up to.
All right. Oh, that sounds lovely. I remember how amazing faith is being celebrated over there in the United States. It's so lovely when you go to church and it's very lively in there. I remember when I was 15, I was an exchange student in Florida, and some people, they took me to church. And it was so cool because I was never really used to see a rock band on stage in the altar or like loud, joyful singing like you can, experience in the United States. So I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And yeah, music's a big part of me as well. People don't mind. This is maybe secret info. I play the piano quite a bit. And so yeah, that's a big part of what I do too. So.
Oh, that sounds lovely. It sounds lovely. So, but we're here today to talk a little bit about your journey as an investor and how you became successful. So, if you don't mind me asking, how did your investment journey start?
So yeah, I like you mentioned, I was a software developer and ran my own software company, sending out mass text messages. I sold that business in 2020, and so then I just had a chunk of money that I was sitting on, and I kind of thought that, oh, what you do with your money is you give it to a financial advisor. He puts it in the stock market, and then that's what you can do. And then just over time, I realized, hey, I'm not really getting any better returns through a financial advisor than I would just putting it in an index fund myself, and the returns really aren't that great. And so then I started, I read a book, it was called Lifestyle Investor by Justin Donald, and he talked about kind of taking control of your own finances, not just giving your money to a financial advisor, but taking, there's a lot of investments out there. So then I started doing venture capital stuff, and I started doing some angel investing, did some real estate, and then eventually found my way over to crypto, where the returns were just, a lot riskier, obviously, but the returns were just so much higher that usually I think the higher risk is worth it. If you can get low risk for 12% APR, or you can get higher risk for 200% APR, well, usually, in a lot of ways, there's a spot for the 200% APRs in your portfolio. I'll put it that way. So that's kind of how I got started. And then once I got into crypto, I haven't really looked back that much.
It definitely is a very exciting industry. I started my own personal investor journey in crypto myself. I've seen some mild successes, probably not the same successes as you, and dealing in a little bit, in smaller steps and numbers. But I think it's a very, very exciting industry. And I think people like you that positively contribute to everyone's financial education in this space and give tips are so valuable for everybody else, because it's a field that is quite a lot to take in. There's a lot of different things to understand if you're new to it, especially. And so it's great having people like you pumping out that content on YouTube, on Twitter, because you learn quite a lot. You learn things that you could never really hope to learn in your own time, because it's just too much. So it's great if there's somebody like you who distills it and who breaks it down to, the most important aspects.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and a big part of what I want to do too is just kind of go out ahead, where I go put my money into things so you don't have to, and you can kind of see, okay, here's the result he's getting. That's why I do my monthly numbers. Actually, that video will be out here before too long. But I kind of show you, hey, rather than you having to go put your money into 100 different things, I'll do that. And then you can see, okay, these are the ones that did well. You can kind of pick and choose through mine. So I like to be the guinea pig for my community.
Right. Oh, that's very generous. Very cool. I like that. But how did you start your journey, in the very, very beginning? How did you even come up with the capital? I know that you were a software programmer before, so maybe you can tell me a little bit about, how that started and, how you became successful in that side of your.
Sure. Yeah. And so software engineering is something I encourage a lot of younger people, especially, to get into that. Like, it just, once you can program, there's just so many avenues open to you career wise. Like, there's so many things. And Web3 programmers now, they're saying the average age for a Web3, or the average wage for a Web3 programmer right now is about 150K a year. So, I mean, if you can learn Solidity and you can start doing some Web3 programming, I mean, especially if you're, in college and trying to figure out what you want to do, I would encourage people to go that direction. But I actually learned, I'm kind of a nerd. I learned to program like when I was in like second and third grade.
Oh, wow.
I just stumbled upon it, and then I started going to the library and I just got books. I remember my parents, I was on a camping trip, and they said, "Oh, what books did you bring on this camping trip?" And I said, "Oh, PHP for Dummies and Perl in a Nutshell and MySQL database management." And they said, "Oh, okay, so you're a nerd." And I guess you might say that. And so then I learned to program, and then I got a job doing e-commerce for a company and writing custom software. And then ultimately, that's where when I started my side project, is I wrote all the software myself. So it's kind of nice when you're a software developer, you can start a business without any capital cost, because I can write my own software and then just throw it out there. So I didn't have any money, but I was able to start a business from scratch because I could program. And that's the company. I ended up growing that business. We had about 11 employees, 40,000 customers or so. And so, yeah, kind of went from nothing to that just because of, being able to program. So, yeah, and that's where the capital came to start my investing journey.
Wow, that's really, really amazing. And I never thought about that. That's such a smart way as a programmer, because yeah, you can program your own things and you can keep your operating costs down. That's super cool and a very, very smart way to go about starting your business. Wow. Congratulations again for that one. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
So you already mentioned that once you had your capital, you were going to financial advisors and they told you, yeah, invest with me, invest here and there. But you realized quickly that you could do that yourself. And so I'm wondering, what was your first investment, actually? When did you invest into something for the very first time?
That's a great question. So I sold my business. So the very first thing I did was I put pretty much all my money with the financial advisor just into the stock market, kind of index funds, basically. So that was really my first big investment. But then when I started, Justin Donald, through his book, that he has an investment club. So then we started getting a lot of deal pitches. It's kind of like Shark Tank, where people would come on and say, "Hey, we have this investment. You want to be part of that?" So I think the very first one I got into is called DLP Capital, and it's a housing fund. It's based in Austin, Texas, I believe, and it provides 12% return a year. And since it's in real estate, you actually get depreciation, so it's actually tax-free, the returns you get. And so when I compared that to the stock market, I was like, well, actually 12% a year with no tax-free is actually pretty good returns. And so then, and it's fairly safe. It's not even just a single house. It's a real estate fund, which makes it, you're diversified in real estate. And so that was really my first, investment that kind of whet my appetite. And then, kind of went from there.
Right. Oh, that sounds super, super interesting. And of course, when you have success like that, you're bound to want to have more. As what kind of investor would you describe yourself? Are you, for example, if we're using crypto or even NFT terminology, are you more of a flipper? Are you midterm oriented, short-term oriented, long-term oriented? Does it depend on each kind of investment? What is your take on that?
Yeah, so I would consider myself mostly a passive income investor. So I'm usually what it gets me most excited is something that's providing a passive income. So if I can, put in 10K and start getting, we'll say, $800 a month or something like that, then I'm like, hey, this is a good investment. And then when you have that, when your passive income just keeps growing, then you have more money to invest over time. And then you can, just the more money you have coming in, the more that you're able to do with it. So that's kind of my main focus. And then what I like to do is, as I'm bringing in this passive income, is I have some things that I believe in long term. So I would consider those. So like Constellation DAG, for example, is one of my big long term plays, or Bitcoin, might be a simple one where it's like, okay, I think long term Bitcoin is going to make a lot of money. It's going to appreciate quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I'll use my passive income that I make. Obviously, I'll take care of my expenses, and giving's a big part of what I think that I'm involved in. I think other people should be too. Jesus says it makes you happier to give than to receive, and I've experienced that to be true as well. And so then I kind of take my passive income and use what extra I have to put into these long-term plays. So I kind of DCA into Constellation DAG or BioFi or Bitcoin or Ethereum. And so then I'm mostly passive income, but then using the passive income to invest for long-term bigger gains is kind of my general strategy.
Right. That sounds like a very, very cool and interesting and also successful strategy to go after, because having that passive income coming every month and building upon that really enables you to supercharge your future investments, because you always have that base coming back at you. It's something that I'm personally also very interested in, how to generate great passive income. And I've read about you that you managed to generate over 100K passive income a month already. So I tip my hat to you.
Yeah, that's kind of been where I've been hanging out here, is about the 100K a month. Obviously, some people have seen my journey to 10K a day in passive income, which would be 300K, is kind of my goal. And actually, I was making progress towards it in the bull market, but then the bear market, I'm just kind of trying to. That's made it difficult. So that brought me down a bit, and then I'm just trying to. There's rug pull here, rug pull there, project falling apart here, project falling apart there. So I'm just kind of trying to navigate and keep in a good position. And then part of my goal is, when the bull market comes back, whether that be in a year or 2 years, I'm positioned well, where when the bull market's there, I'm just well positioned. I have coins all where I want them to be, and then I can really take off and take advantage of the next bull run.
Yes. Yeah, I can totally relate to that, high and low journey, and then suddenly, oh, we're in a bear market again. But as you said, bear market offers amazing opportunities if you just keep on, smartly investing, and investing into the coins that you think will really, really make it, so that you are optimally positioned for the next bull run. What do you think? When will the next bull run happen? Like, I heard somewhere maybe at the end of 2024, beginning 25 or something like that. What is your take on that? I know nobody has a crystal ball, but just as a general gauge.
Look at history. So it depends how much if you feel like things are cyclical, then it would make most sense to look at, like Bitcoin in the past. And it seems like the halving has always been kind of the catalyst for this next bull run. So if you're going to look at it that way, then, the next halving, I think, when is it? It's February or March of 2024. So if you look at that as being the catalyst for the start of the next bull run, so that's one philosophy. Another philosophy, though, is that crypto and Bitcoin is just a part of the world economy. And so then, rather than looking at the crypto cycles, it's better to look at the economy cycles of the whole world. And those are just, we don't know. There's just, wars can impact that. And, being short on energy, can really cause a big bear market. So it really depends on your philosophy. If you think cryptos is an isolated thing and you want to follow that cycle, then we're probably looking at the end of 2024 for a big bull run. If you look at the economy in general, we have no idea. So,
Right.
I mean, I would, if I had to guess, I would say maybe the end of 2023. Maybe we'll start to see, but we'll have to just kind of wait and see how, the war in Ukraine goes. We'll have to wait and see what other wars pop up around the world. We'll have to see how the energy stuff goes, how some of the climate stuff goes. So yeah, that's a lot harder to tell for sure.
Yeah, I like that holistic kind of thinking about, connecting that crypto industry also to what's happening in the macro, and that's definitely a good way to look at things, because everything is connected, and we've seen that the crypto market is now being more correlated than ever to the macro world outside. So yeah, very very good way of thinking and of connecting the dots and seeing the whole picture rather than just a small slice of it, I think. Very cool. So let's see, what kind of current investments are the center of your focus at the moment?
Yeah. So I kind of actually, if you want to share my screen, I think this is just a helpful way to kind of see how I think about my portfolio.
Mm-hmm. There we go. That's your screen.
I'm actually going to turn down my video quality too. Okay, you can see it. All right, perfect. So the way that I kind of look at investing is there's high risk that is low. There's high risk that's high return, and then there's low risk that's low return. So if you're looking for, like, if I need 10K a month is kind of what I'm shooting for, then I have like a little bit of a buffer. So let's say I'm shooting for 15K a month in passive income. Then this kind of shows like a CD at a bank. It would be very, probably the lowest risk in the U.S. It'd be FDIC insured by the government. There's almost no risk your capital in a CD, but you're getting about 0.83% a month. So to get your 15K a month, you'd need to put $1.8 million into that. So then if you go kind of buckets to the right, real estate would be a little bit riskier than like a CD, but you're getting a little bit higher return. So you need less money to put in there. And then as you start going towards the crypto side of things, like Project 79 is kind of my favorite crypto project. It's not totally a crypto project, but it's getting about 7% a month. So to get that same 15K a month, you only need 214K. So if you have limited capital and you're trying to get to your goal of 15K a month, well, getting to it by putting your money in CDs or in real estate is going to take you a very, very long, it might take your whole life to get to 1.5 million in real estate to get to your goal there. But whereas when you get into crypto, it's going to be a lot riskier. Like there's a chance you might lose all your money, but you can get to your goals quite a bit faster. So how I kind of look at my portfolio is I use these higher risk. So I have DGen up here, which would be like 40% a month. So like we had Wealth Mountain and some other projects that have just ridiculously high returns, super, super high risk. But you can put in a little bit of capital and you can get some huge returns. And then what I tend to do is I take my riskier returns and I start moving them over to buckets to the left. So I take my DGen returns and I put them into a little bit safer stuff like DRIP or EMP or Horde. Some of these that are getting 26% a month, or Optimus. People have been asking about that in the comments. I mean, consider those projects very, very high risk, but you're getting, again, 26% a month. That's very high return. So then I tend to take my returns from those. And people sometimes yell at me. They're like, why are you taking money out of DRIP? Why are you taking money out of Horde? But what I do with it is I put it into safer buckets. So I move it over. If I make 30K from DRIP, I might put it into Project 79 or something that's a little bit safer with lower returns. And then my goal is eventually, I want to get to, $2 million in real estate. So I'm making, 20K a month or whatever. And then you're kind of in a safer place. That's kind of the goal, is I start with some of these higher risk ones and use the capital to kind of go safer and safer until my portfolio is kind of where I want it. So that's kind of my general strategy that I have.
Wow, that's really, really exciting and very, very cool the way that you visualize that for us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope that's helpful for people, just to kind of think about that. And I also want to just emphasize, when you watch me on YouTube or when you're listening to my advice, the goal is not do exactly what I do, because I came to this with millions of dollars in capital already. Okay. So what I do is going to be very different than what you do. I mean, unless you're coming with millions of dollars in capital yourself, but if you're coming with, I get a lot of emails like, hey, I have 5K to start with. It's like, okay, well, you're probably not going to want to get into 100 projects like I do and put, $50 into each of them. You're going to need a different strategy. And I can't necessarily tell you what that strategy is. All I can do is kind of show you, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's the way I think through it. And hope that helps for people.
Yeah, that's definitely a very, very healthy mindset, and also very healthy for everyone around to differentiate this little bit about, about your means as an investor. And I think that's great that you're also thinking about, what can people do that don't have the same amounts of money they can invest as you yourself. So that's really, really great. And it's always also really important that everybody understands that the investments that our guardians share, those are their current investments, and everybody should decide by themselves if that's something that they want to get into, or if it's maybe something that they just want to follow for now a little bit to understand a little bit better. It's all about financial education. It's not about, hey, copy this, copy that. It's about, hey, here's what I'm doing, and you can decide yourself if you want to do it, or if you maybe want to do it, in a smaller way. And so I think that's really, really great that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and that's really my main goal for people. Is I just want to be helpful for people. So sometimes people think I'm trying to make money through my YouTube channel, or people ask me, what are you trying to do with your YouTube channel? And really, like, one of my main goals is I want to help people if they don't like their 9-to-5 job. It just really bums me out when people don't like their 9-to-5 job, and that's what they spend all day, every day doing. And so I just want to help people get out of that. Like, hey, let's see if we can get enough passive income where you can cut down on hours, or you can work part-time, or maybe you can go find a lower paying job that you enjoy more. So that's part of my goal of what I want to do to help people. And so just getting information out that is helpful for people with that.
I think that's really, really amazing and great of you. And I think, that's why we're talking today, because Moneyhero.club plus the Geldhelden community that it originated from, it's all about helping people reach financial independence and reach financial security, in smart ways, in ways that don't waste, your life away in a job that you don't want to do, where you work in jobs that you don't really want to work. So it's all about that. It's about empowering the people. And I think having people like you on board as investment guardian is going to be amazing for our community. And I look forward to all the investments that you will be sharing with our members. It's going to be really great. But let's talk a little bit more about investing. So I just asked you about your current investments, but I'm also interested in, what kind of investment would you never touch, and why? Maybe, maybe there's some religious component to some investment that you would never do something like that, or, maybe there's other reasons. I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably, I mean, morally, there's not a ton that, I mean, if somebody's doing something blatantly illegal, then yeah, I would not want to get involved with that. Like, I believe as a Christian, I want to abide by the laws of the land, and things like that. So that's kind of the main thing that I would not get involved with. I mean, if there's like, strip clubs or things like that, that's probably something I'm not going to be super, real estate deal for a strip club, I'm probably going to steer away from that. Some Christians would be, against alcohol and against cannabis and some of those things. That's not really my take. I kind of see God created those things, and as long as you don't abuse them, like cannabis, has a lot of medicinal value and even recreational value is kind of the way I look at it. So I've invested in medicinal cannabis stuff, and sometimes some Christians would say, hey, you shouldn't do that, but I think it's helping people, and as long as people don't abuse it, it's the same as pretty much anything. Like you can abuse food, you can abuse sleep, you can abuse all sorts of things. So yeah, there's not a ton other than blatantly illegal things. There's not a ton that I stay completely away from. Even, sometimes people ask me about things that I think are Ponzi schemes. Do you get into things that you think might be a Ponzi scheme? And sometimes I do. Sometimes it's just hard. Sometimes it's hard to define what a Ponzi scheme is. Sometimes things are partial Ponzi schemes and things like that. And so if somebody just says, oh, this is a Ponzi scheme, you shouldn't invest in it, I don't usually take that at face value. I still dabble around with it and try to come up with my own conclusion on it. And sometimes I get burned from that, but sometimes make a lot of money. So, but yeah, there's not a ton that I stay completely away from.
All right. Yeah. That's very, very interesting. And also interesting that you mentioned the cannabis industry, because that is one of the most exciting industries worldwide right now, as the laws are, being relaxed, as more studies are being put out there. I know that in Thailand, where some of our team are, it's just been legalized, and Thailand is poised to become basically the medicinal capital for it in the Asian sphere, which, well, that's quite unique, because otherwise, the laws over there are quite harsh. So there's lots of opportunities, and very, very smart thinking to also, go beyond your traditional investments. So very.
Yeah, and I was going to say, usually if you're looking for high return investments, it's best to look in places that are maybe a little bit off the norm. So, I mean, everybody's looking at real estate investments. So to find like a super great real estate investment is pretty rare. They're pretty much all the same because there's tons of people looking there. But if you start looking in areas where, hey, I don't think there's a lot of people looking in this area. So like cannabis, for example, has been good because in the US, it's federally not legal. So like banks can't give loans to cannabis, medicinal cannabis, recreational cannabis at all. So these cannabis farms where it's legal on the state level, but it's illegal federally, they're looking for ways to be funded since they can't use a traditional bank. So they'll come and they'll give 20% interest on a loan to help grow their, cannabis farm. And I mean, that 20% on a collateralized loan is a very safe, really good return on an investment. And so, yeah, you start looking in some of those areas, there's a lot there. So.
Right. Yeah, no, very, very interesting.
Yeah. One more thing too, I want to say about that is one thing I've noticed too, when we're in recessions, and even though the US won't say we're in a recession, our GDP has been down and we are in a recession. And when we're in recessions, we're seeing this in the stock market right now, but tech stocks do terribly. Crypto goes down. But what goes up is consumables. So like alcohol goes up, tobacco goes up, cannabis goes up. And so, looking at some of those trends, like what are non-correlated assets? I mean, I could do a whole webinar about that, but you want to find, if you're invested mostly in these things, then you also want to find some things that when those go down, what goes up? And so you can kind of look at the past and see, hey, when crypto and the stock market's going down, what goes up? And the answer is cannabis is one of those things. And so then you can get non-correlated assets, and that makes your portfolio all the more diversified and all the more safe. So that's something that I try to do as well.
I really hope that our viewers have a pen and some little piece of paper to write some notes, because I think everyone just got a master class in how to, and on how to look at markets and how to look for opportunities, even if the traditional things are going down, like you just said. Go look at commodities that are maybe going up in times of market turmoil, or flagging markets. So wow, that's really, really great, and I'm so excited to be seeing what else you will be sharing with everybody going forward. Very cool, James. Very, very cool. So, and also it's just like your energy and the way that you can translate everything. It's really, really great. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I enjoy it a lot. So it's fun being able to talk through it. There's not a lot of people in my normal life, like my kids, if I start talking to them about, non-correlated assets, they kind of 8-year-old kind of is like, hey, that's great, but can we go watch Pokemon or something, something like that. So it's nice having an outlet where I can kind of talk through some of this.
Yeah, perfect. I think you'll find lots of people are going to be interested in what you have to say over here. And I mean, you already have your audience on YouTube, you are successful, and we are so happy to be welcoming you into our club. I will later do a little bit of a presentation about what the club is all about, if I can manage to share my screen, because before we started the stream, I just ran into some trouble. I clicked onto a button that said block, and now it wouldn't let me share my screen anymore. I might have to even ask you to quickly go to the website and share your screen or something like that. We'll figure it out. I hope everybody watching it will, bear with me. I'm not a professional streamer like James just yet, but I'm giving my best, and I'll be learning a lot while we're on this journey, and it will get better.
I think you're doing great.
Thank you so much, James. That's reassuring me.
Yeah. And the beauty of live feeds is when things don't go right, that adds to the authenticity, and it's not a polished, like we didn't just put together some presentation, but just giving our actual thoughts about things.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's a very, very good way to look at it. Thank you so much for reassuring me, man. So let's talk about more of your investments. We already talked about did we talk about your best investments so far? I think.
I don't think we talked about that yet.
No. So let's talk about let's talk about some of your best investments and how you came across them and how that made you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you actually learn more through your bad investments than your good investments. But so Drip, and I have a love-hate relationship with the Drip community. So if anybody from the Drip community here, give me a thumbs up, and I appreciate you guys. But I put in 5K into Drip. This would have been probably almost a year and a half ago, almost. So it's been a long time, and people really resonated with Drip and just how simple it is and really easy to understand. And actually, now I'm up to about 8,500 referrals on Drip. And so as a YouTuber, sometimes referrals are like a really big part of what you're doing. That's how we make a lot of our money. YouTube doesn't actually pay very much. And so, referrals and things like that are where we get that. So that's probably been my best investment. I put in 5K, and then immediately it like 20x from where I bought in at.
Wow,
within
congrats.
a few months. So my 5K was quickly like 100K, and that's probably been my best investment to date. Even now, the referrals help a lot, but it's still bringing me in about 30% of my passive income comes in from Drip. So yeah, very thankful for that. And they just released the animal farm. Some people in the comments are talking about, but that's probably my best investment to date. It's where I've made the most money.
Right. Wow. That's very, very interesting. I gotta check out Drip. I'm not on Drip yet, but I think you just, made me very interested to check it out.
Yeah.
And
well, it's so hard because so much of it is timing in crypto. And like I got in at a really good time, got right before 20x. But the people who got in after the 20x, since then it's down about 95%. Right. So I did really well, but the people who got in at 20x where I got in are not doing as well. So yeah, timing's a big part. And we figured this out. Me and my audience have figured this out, especially through the bull market. But just the timing of getting in early, getting your initial out, and then letting your compounding interest just kind of go after that has been a really great strategy for me and my community.
Right. Yeah. Timing really is everything. I mean, if you buy at the top, you can be quite disappointed when it goes down. I definitely had my own experiences with that as well. So yeah, always important to see what is the best time to get into an investment. And sometimes you just don't know, but sometimes you can already have a little bit of knowledge of some things that can make you, that can put you in a position of at least be able to predict some things, and you can take advantage of that. So
and
always good to have
too. Like if I get into 10 projects, I figure 4 of them are going to just completely fail. If I'm doing like high risk, crypto, DeFi, degen projects. If I get into 10, I figure 4 are going to just completely fall apart and I'll probably lose all my money. And then probably 5 will do okay. And then hopefully I have one unicorn that can 20x or 100x. And that's kind of what I'm looking for if I'm getting into 10 projects. So like I'm in 100 or so projects right now, and I'm kind of, okay, probably 40% will fall apart. Probably, 40% or, 45% or 50% will do okay. And then I'm hoping 10% will be, where you make just a lot of money. And that's kind of what I've been looking for. And that's kind of what I've experienced right now.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. But let's talk about some of the investments that you made that may have backfired, and some of the investment that just unexpectedly went wrong. Because as you said, of course you do your investments into like 10 different projects, and you're already anticipating that about 40% will fall apart. But maybe you also had an investment that just completely backfired, because that is something that we as investors also experience. And what are some of your strategies to cope when something like that happens? And what did you learn from some of your not so well performing investments? Because as you said before, in actuality you learn the most from the successes that went wrong, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So like when I first got into crypto, I put 5,000 into Drip, but I put 70,000 into Olympus DAO, and I put 70,000 into Strong. So what we kind of saw was Drip 20x. So it was kind of my unicorn out of the 3. Strong, I actually did really well, and Strong went strong. No pun intended. Did really well. I made my money back and made quite a bit of money, but then eventually it fell apart. And Olympus fell apart before I could get my money back. And I'm still holding onto my Olympus, but my original 70K is worth maybe 2K now. So the lessons that I kind of learned was don't put diversify. Like don't put more into one project than you can afford to lose. So again, in retrospect, I wish I hadn't put 70K into Strong, 70K into Olympus. I wish I had spread it out a little bit more. Could have put 20K into Strong, 20K into Olympus, and 20K into 3 other projects or something like that, just so that as projects fall apart and projects do well, it's just better to be diversified through that. So that's probably one of the main lessons that I learned. I also learned that DeFi is risky. Like the return you get is going to be correlated to the risk that you're getting. So if you look at something like Olympus, where we were getting 7,000% APY. Okay, so when you look at 7,000% APY, that you have to consider that very high risk. Okay, that's just no other way to look at it. Strong, we were getting about 30% monthly. So I don't know what that works out to APY, but it's going to be 200 or 300 probably. So that's very high risk. And so I just kind of learned, even if it looks not high risk, like when I talked with David Moss and I talked with the Strong team, and I talked with the Olympus team, I would be like, man, there's no way this can fail. This is going to be just great forever. That's just not the way it is. There's a correlation. If you're getting really high returns, consider it very high risk and manage your capital with that in mind. Just knowing, hey, this could fall apart at any time. I want to get my initial out and then let my interest play with house money is kind of how I like to put it. So yeah, those are kind of the main lessons I've learned. Somebody in the comments just mentioned yield nodes. So that was one where I really believe in the team, and they're restructuring right now. So I'm not going to say it's gone, like my Strong money is gone. That money's all gone. Yield nodes is kind of in flux right now. We'll put it that way. But yeah, just understand that this is a risky place. If you don't want to mess around with risky investments, then you got to go to real estate, or you got to get out of crypto. Okay, all crypto is going to be fairly risky comparatively to putting your money in a CD at the bank. So you just have to kind of know that and manage accordingly.
Yeah, that's you put that very, very well. You just mentioned like meeting some founders of some different projects. So one of my next questions was going to be, how do you go about finding good investment opportunities?
Yeah, kind of the way that my journey has developed in crypto particularly, and actually it's the same in traditional investing, but I'm more interested in the people rather than I am in their idea or in the tokenomics. Like people always come to me and the first thing they talk about is tokenomics, and I'm like, I don't. That's actually the last thing that I care about. The first thing I care about is the team, the people, because people can really mess stuff up. And even, I'm not going to pick on drip, but even, people say, oh, drip, Forex, there's nothing, it's decentralized. There's no way that Forex can mess it up. But if you follow drip, you know that what Forex does dictates if the price of drip goes up or down. If he has to release new projects. And so even something that's decentralized like drip is still reliant on the team to make it work. The only thing that I feel like is very decentralized is Bitcoin. Other than that, everything in crypto has some amount of centralization. And so just meeting the team for me has been the most valuable thing, just because they're going to be the ones that have to pivot based on market conditions. They're going to be the ones that make the decisions going forward. So that's what I've found. And if you watch my channel, that's mostly what I do is I just bring on teams, and it's like, I just want to get to know you, and I want to, ask you questions. I want to ask you hard questions. I want to just, get to know the way you think through it. What's your vision? And I found that is by far the most valuable way for me to tell what projects I think are going to do well and which ones I think are going to fail.
That's a really cool and interesting approach. I think, not too many people would fly around the world to do that. And I think more people probably should, because that's a really smart way of going about it. Because as you said, at the end of the day, it's people. Your tokenomics can be this or that. But, if you have a team that's not working well together or that doesn't have the right vision for the project, then so it's all about the people, and I think that's really interesting approach to go and just meet the teams. But how did you even come up with like getting the opportunity to meet them? Because I know like some projects, they're very, not everybody is doxed, meaning not everybody's identity is known, and it's for me as like a amateur crypto investor, I wouldn't really know how to go about meeting a team like that. So if you can just like give me a little bit of an idea of what that process would be like, I would be very interested.
Sure. Yeah. And that's part of what I kind of designed my channel to be, was to be the gateway between project owners and the investors, because there wasn't a great way for investors to get to know the project owners, because we had a lot of people not doxed, and project owners can't answer 1,000 people's DMs and things like that. So I kind of wanted to be the interpreter between the two, and like, hey, investors, meet this project. And then I like to not, people always ask me for my opinions on things, so I do give it, but I really prefer just letting the project founders explain their vision, explain what they're going to be doing, and then let the investors kind of make up their own mind about who they believe in. And I try to not give too much commentary of my own, because I don't want to sway people based on me. Sometimes I don't understand the projects well. Like there's been projects where I came out and said, oh, I don't like it because of this, this, and this. And the project founder gets in touch with me and says, that's not even true. And then I'm like, well, you come on and explain what's true. This is what it looks like to me. You explain the reality. And after I did a few of those AMAs, I just realized, hey, this is what's most effective for me. This is what I think will be most helpful for my audience. And so then if you look at my channel, I'm pretty much doing an AMA pretty much 5 or 6 days a week. Like that's kind of become what my channel is a lot. And I enjoy it. And that's what I want to be, is just help investors connect with those project founders.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a super interesting niche that you found for yourself there. And it's great that you positioned yourself as the gateway between the founders and the investment communities. And I just once again tip my hat to you, because that is such a cool position, and it is very much needed because, we as investors, how do we decide whom to trust? And especially, in today's climate with all the rug pulls that, are unfortunately going on, especially, in the NFT spaces, there was a period where pretty much, I don't know, every second or third in project that I got into, ended up being a rug pull. It can be very tricky to find out, what's worthwhile to invest to, who to trust, and who maybe not to trust as much. So I think, having somebody like you who goes out there and who actually travels all over the world to meet teams like that, that is so valuable and so needed in our space.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I was going to say too, sometimes people ask me, hey, do you just let on every project that contacts you? You're doing an AMA every day. Do you just say yes to everybody? As long as they're willing to pay you, you say yes. And the reality is I probably get, in the bull market, I was getting about 12 requests a day. I would say in the bear market, I get maybe 3 or 4 a day. So it's definitely slowed down. But I have a lot of teams that come to me and say, hey, we don't want to do an AMA. Can you just talk about our project? And I always say no. I want you to come on and talk about it. I don't want to be the one that looks through your stuff and then I try to explain what your vision is. Also, the audience asks me questions and I have no idea. I'm not part of the team. I'm just reading the white paper the same as everyone else. So I pretty much turn down anyone who's not willing. I don't really care if they show their face on camera or not. Some people, that's a big thing for them. I've had people who show their face rug pull, and I've had people who don't show their face not rug pull. So to me, that's not a big thing. But if they're not willing to come talk to me at all, then I'm not going to bring them on my channel because I don't want to try to figure out what they're doing. I want them to explain it with their words. And then then I can't mess it up. If I'm letting them explain it directly to the investors, no one can say, oh, you gave us misinformation or anything like that. It's I'm not an information gatherer. I'm a connector, and an interviewer is kind of what I've turned into.
Yeah. No, very, very, very interesting, definitely. And you're right. I mean, if people are not willing to talk with you, then maybe they shouldn't be worth your time, to invest anything in, because, at the end of the day, you need that information and you need a little bit of trust to be able to go. Well, I mean, in some of the crypto projects, we don't really know what's happening, but it's always at least good to try to have as much information as you can have. Well, yeah. So basically, that is more or less our interview. But of course, I would be remiss if I wouldn't ask you what kind of content our members can in the future expect you to share on our Discord server.
Yeah, so kind of what I want to share is first and foremost, and this might not sound sexy to people, okay? And sometimes when I say this, people are like, I'm not interested in that. But I honestly, during a bear market, education is the best thing that you can do. And it's the cheapest thing too. People are always wanting to know, where should I put my money? Where should I put my money? And it's like, well, there's a wealth of knowledge that's free and you can learn and you don't have to invest capital to learn. And most YouTube is free. Like you can watch all my videos for free. And so that's the main thing I want to do is help educate people just on how investing works, how your portfolio should look, how you avoid losing a bunch of money. Then I also do want to kind of share the projects. Again, I get in hundreds of projects, and then I kind of want to share the ones that kind of bubble up to the top as, hey, like Project 79, for example, is why I was in Dubai, was to talk with their team. And it's like, hey, this looks like a pretty solid project. And again, not financial advice. I'm not telling you should get into it. I'm definitely telling you don't take out loans and put it into something with a 200% APY. That's very foolish. But I just want, of the projects I'm looking at, when you do a risk reward ratio of you're getting 7% a month for lower risk than a lot of the other stuff, Project 79 right now is one that's kind of bubbling up to the top. And so that's what I want to share is education. And then also which projects are kind of bubbling up to the top of my list. Like, hey, I've looked at a lot. Here are the ones that I think that I really like, that I'm putting my money into. And I like to show people exactly where I'm putting my money so they can see They can just see exactly what I'm doing. I'm not trying to dump on. Somebody messaged me this morning and said, "Hey, you dump on your audience." And I'm like, what? I mean, I show every month exactly what I did. All the trades I made, everything I bought, everything I sold is all there. So I just want to get that transparency, that authenticity. I think that's necessary for people to trust me. So yeah, education, and then my top projects, and then just really seeing what I'm doing with my money, and then just hopefully people can add that to their, I like to call it the stew of knowledge that's in someone. And then they can make a decision what they want to do with their portfolio.
Yeah, and I think, that's exactly what we're looking for. And I think that's a match made in heaven, so to say. Really, really great. And, especially, what you said about the educated aspect. I mean, a bear market, like you said, that's the best way or best period to learn, because, in the bear market, you have low prices, you can slowly get into things, and you can be sure that you're not making the mistakes as, we talked about before, buying at the top and then wondering why that investment didn't go so well. So I think it will be great to have you in our club going forward. I'm looking forward to all the things that you'll be sharing in your channel on our Discord server. And I thank you so much for this interview today. It's been great. I love your energy. I love the way that you can, the way that you can explain, difficult, the difficult knowledge, and just distill it and, bring it across as something that everybody, understands and can get into. Thank you so much for that. And I would love to end this webinar with an explanation about what Money Hero Club is all about your membership NFT token that we are now putting available for minting, that we're now putting out there available for minting. And I had a little bit of a hiccup just before we started. Once we, everybody, we're just gonna be very open and transparent about it. Just before we started this interview, I hit a button that said block when I was just trying to share something, and now it will just redirect me to a help center and sending me into a loop. And I'm really, really sorry about that, because I think it's also a very, very important part of this webinar. So what I will do is, because actually, these PowerPoint presentations are kind of boring anyways. I would just be sharing a screen and I would just be reading it out. So how about I try my best to do it in person? I just quickly need to print it out. I didn't do so now. I should have probably done while you were talking. I just quickly need to print out the slides so that I have something to work with. And I quickly mute my microphone for that and just put you center stage for just a little moment. Give me 1 minute, everybody, maybe 2 minutes, depending on how fast my printer is printing that stuff out. Sure. And again, I'm very sorry about not being able to give you a polished screen share presentation right now, but that's the nature of live streaming. It's my first time live streaming. I will do much, much better for everyone in the future. And yeah, I will just quickly put you center stage and mute my mic because my printer might be a little bit loud. So I'll be right back.
No problem. Yeah, I'd love to answer just any questions that people have. So just bring in the questions and I'll answer what I can. So first is Aaron Hans. He says, I'm a strong believer that time is an X factor in developing wealth. I have kids that don't want to listen about investments. What would you suggest for long-term gains for kids? And the best thing you can do for your kids is, like I said, again, it's not a super sexy answer, but education. Because what happens is you could even, like I have money that I'm considering, hey, do I want to leave my kids, an inheritance, or how much do I want to leave them $1 million or something like that? But what I've seen happen with a lot of kids is when they get money, even if they're in their 20s or something like that, if they're not educated about investing and passive income and what they're doing, you give them money and then they spend it and then it's gone. Okay, so money is actually pretty easy to make and to lose. And so I think educating your kids, I'm a big fan of there's a game that I think it's Robert Kiyosaki, Cash Flow. He has a game board game that's meant for like 11-year-old, 12-year-olds. And I want to start getting my kids into games like that and just teach them. They don't teach in the US, at least. I don't know how it is in other places, but in the US, we don't teach our kids about finances. We don't teach our kids about the stock market, about investing, about taxes, or any of that stuff. And you can save so much. Like you can be helped so much financially if you just know what you're doing. So that would be the number one thing. Ralphie says open a Roth for your kids. And that's not a bad idea. I've struggled with how much money I want to leave to my kids, just because money can ruin people. Like money can ruin your kids if they're not educated correctly. So yeah, games like Monopoly is a great way just to teach kids about, hey, there's rent and you can invest. Monopoly is a great example. You can teach your kids, hey, look, you can spend some money, you can invest in some houses on your property. It's going to cost you money now, but then as people land on it, you're going to make more money. And that's kids don't understand that naturally. You have to teach them that, hey, you spend some money now, that in the future you're making more money. So I think educating your kids is honestly the best thing that you can do. You can invest for them. I have a drip wallet for all my kids that I just, been hydrating, and I plan to hydrate until they're old enough to need the money. Funny Toro says, teach your kids delayed gratitude. Yeah, or delayed gratification. I think, I know what you mean. But yeah, absolutely. Kids are they come out of the womb wanting what they want right now. Okay. And you have to teach them as an adult. You teach your kids, hey, if you do the hard things now, in the future, you'll have better things. And it's a very hard lesson to teach kids. They don't want to believe that. They want what they want right now. So as your kids grow, I like Turo's saying, I think that's one of the best things that you can teach your kids is delayed gratification. And he makes a good point too. In the US, there's so much taboo around talking about money. And I totally agree with that. You're not supposed to ask people, how much do you make and how much did your house cost and things like that. But I need to talk with my kids about that. Like they need to know, hey, a house of this size is going to be $1 million. When you get your first job, you're probably if you're right out of college, you might be making $50K a year. If you're making $50K a year, you can't buy $1 million house. And like your kids need to learn that. Like they don't know. I see high schoolers who are making $400 a month who buy a $300 a month car. I was actually doing premarital counseling for a couple, and they were talking about their budget, and they made about $1,000 a month, and they were spending about $100 a month on Starbucks. And I was like, you cannot spend 10% of your income on coffee. Like that's just, you can't do that. But we don't teach, we don't talk about it with our kids. And so I would encourage you, while your kids live with you, let them in on everything. Teach them about, teach them how much money you make. Teach them about how much your bills cost. I think a lot of kids get into college. Sorry, I'm rambling now. And you can interrupt me whenever you're ready to go. We're talking about Money Hero. But, teach them what it costs to have a nice car. Teach them what it costs to have a house. Teach them about investing. A lot of kids aren't even thinking about stuff like that. And so education for me is the best thing that I think I can leave for my kids. And then, on the spiritual side of things, teaching them that money won't make you happy. A lot of young people think that. A lot of older people think that too. They think, oh, money is what makes you happy. It doesn't. I've been poor and I've been wealthier, and that is not what determines your happiness. So those are the things I would say about kids. Teach them education. And, sorry, one last thing, but we homeschool our kids because, again, there's just so many lessons that I feel like I didn't learn in school that I want to teach my kids. I want to teach my kids how to do internet marketing. I want to teach them how to do programming. I want to teach them how to do sales. Like, why don't we teach kids in high school how to do sales? That's one of the most valuable things that you can learn, and we don't even talk about it. So I could rant about school in America and all these things for a long time. But I'll leave it at that. That's my advice.
Thank you so much for taking over a little bit and answering some of the questions that our audience had. I tried to fix my little problem, but it won't let me fix the problem. So I will just present it to you in person, what the club is all about. And we will make sure that we will have a proper presentation video in English very, very soon as well, where I'm going over the more polished presentation for everybody. So bear with me, I had a little bit of a technical difficulty with sharing my screen, and in the end, I just opened my presentation in like different programs, and I just won't want to show it. I don't know what's happening with that, but we'll just have to accept that. So, Money Hero Club. Well, as I said in the very beginning of this webinar, basically what the offer of Money Hero Club is, it's offering you a way to get, up-to-date financial education and knowledge about the current investments of successful investors. It's a little bit as if you go into a business launch, maybe you're in the senator's launch on some airport, and you're overhearing two successful business people talking about what they're currently doing, and it's a little bit like that. We have different channels with different accredited investors who share their current investments. So you can learn all kinds of things. There is some investors, they're talking about their investments in a walnut farm, which is, not really your usual investment that you would, find information about easily, I'd say. Or, maybe we have some other investors who talk about how to go about investing into Rolexes, which was also a quite successful investment for many people in the last 20 years, but not everybody knows, how to go about things. And so today we also have the amazing James Pelton here, who is one of the best financial educators out there in the field, especially with crypto. Because as you've just seen in the interview part of our webinar, he actually goes out there and positions himself as a gateway and channel between, crypto founders and investment communities, which is something that is also, where do you find that, So having access to something like that can be very, very valuable. And that is basically what we as the Money Hero Club are trying to solve for our members. How to get the knowledge and the financial know-how and the mindset of successful investors easily and conveniently whenever you wish, and what could be easier than opening a program like Discord, quickly connecting to one of the chat rooms and channels and check up on your favorite investor like James, or maybe some of our other guardians like Christoph Heuermann. What are they up to? What is going on in their life? What is their investment journey? Where's their investment journey leading them? So basically, we have the financial alliance, like you can see in one of my slide pictures. I printed out a slide, and now I'm showing you slides it's very analog. Actually, I'm very sorry about that, but it's also kind of funny. So basically, we have our alliance, the successful investors here, and we have our little cats who would love to be lions over there. And you can check out what the lions are up to, and that's basically what the Money Hero Club is all about. And as I said, I will make a much better presentation out of that I will record with the video. And so basically, we are now with when we finish this webinar, we will enable the NFT minting that will enable everybody to mint their own access NFTs. So we have different NFTs. You can see an example here. I'm just showing you again like this, very analog. So we're going to have a beautiful NFT featuring James's likeness as an access pass for our members that you can mint. So what's really cool about membership token NFTs is that instead of a normal membership that you pay once and then that money is gone, it's like a sunk cost, really, isn't it? You never get your money back. With an NFT, you own it, and you will still be able to, maybe in a year or two, you will say, oh, this club is not really for me, or maybe even the NFT will have appreciated because the club has become super successful, because that's what we're working on. We're building in a bear market to become the premier launch for exchanges between successful investors and people who would like to become successful investors. So it can also be that the NFT will appreciate quite in value. And we had some of our members minting more than just one NFT in the past. Right now, our floor price is more or less at 0.3 ETH, and the minting will also be for 0.3 ETH for your NFT. And well, all of the money that we are making with the Money Hero Club, this is going to be an unreadable slide now, and it would have been kind of complicated to even explain on the screen. But what we're doing is we're redistributing a large part of the minting proceeds that we make. We're redistributing it to the community. So our investment guardians, which form the most important part of our community, and that's also reflected in the money that they can make and be rewarded with through the minting. We're giving them 50% of all the minting proceeds. We are also having, I can go over that basically in a video and explaining that much better than I am explaining right now. So basically, it's a win-win for everyone is basically what it comes down to. It's basically being reinvested into the community. The most important part of our community are our investment guardians. So we reward them the most. They get 50% of all NFT sales. Then we also have the affiliates who get 10% of the NFT sales. And one of the really interesting things and cool things about our club is that anybody can become an affiliate. So if you guys out there know another person that might be a really good guardian for our club, a new investment guardian, you can also go ahead, recommend that person, and you can actually be rewarded with some pretty good commission percentages. And well, we also enable our members, and especially now with the launch of your NFT token, it's finally become available. Our developers, they've been working on it in the background for the last months. We are also going to enable NFT staking. And if I'm correct, yes, 20% of the revenue will also be going into staking pools that people, well, they can stake their membership token, take it off the secondary market, which helps the floor price to remain stable and hopefully go up. And as a reward, they will receive a Money Hero token that they can harvest. So we're going now a little bit DeFi as well, James. What do you think?
Oh, I love it. I love anything. When I hear APY or APR or anything like that, I listen up for sure.
But so how cool is that? You buy a membership and you can stake your membership and earn money from your membership. That is so Web3, isn't that?
That's very Web3 for sure.
Right, huh? Yeah, as I said, I would do like a much better job. I'm going to make absolutely sure that this weekend I'm going to be releasing a video explaining everything that I wanted to do in a really, fancy and polished fashion now, and that I had to just try to at least rudimentarily present to you guys. So the way this works is you go to our Money Hero website. The Money Hero website, you should find that in the description below of this video, or you're already on our website. And what you do is you just go to Mint, and if you have enough ETH in your wallet, you can go ahead and mint our NFT, and we will welcome you on our Discord server very, very soon. You will have access not only to James Pelton's channel, but to all of the channels of our investment guardians. There are a number of other very interesting people already, affiliated with the club. But the exciting thing is we're also only starting, and we are builders. We started at not the most, well, maybe it wasn't the the most beneficial time to start in a bear market, but that was just the way that it transpired. Because we started, and then suddenly the lunar crash happened, and we were like, oh, okay, and people, they were really suffering. And you saw a lot of outflux in the markets, like you see on the Discord server, suddenly it's not so many people out there anymore. And you're just thinking, But so what I want to assure you is that we are builders. We have a lot of other interesting investment guardians in the pipeline. And we will make this one of the most premier clubs for financial education and getting, the secret current investments that you don't really find in normal places, certainly not somewhere in most social circles. You won't really have friends who can say, hey, I just flew to Malta to meet with a team of so and so, and these guys, they're really, really interesting because of this and that. And we have James in a club, so yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I like too. I want to tell people, don't only follow one person and don't just do everything that they say. Like everybody has little different. I've gotten to know this a lot from your friend Andy. Is a good friend of mine. He's a fellow YouTuber, and just when I talk with him, some things we think very similarly about, but then other things we think opposite about. And so if you're just following one person and just doing everything they say, you might not be getting a great picture of just, everything that's out there. That's why I call it the stew of your knowledge. And you should be getting a lot of input from a lot of places, and then making the decision that's best for you. So I just that's why I like something like Money Hero, where there's multiple people. It's not just James Pelton, Money Hero, but there's multiple people. Yeah, Ralphie says, I love Andy, less degen. Yeah, absolutely. So I have a much higher risk tolerance than Andy. He wants to do safer stuff. And I like the crazy stuff, and so it's fun just having both people that you listen to, and then you make, what decision makes best sense for you.
Yes, yeah, totally. I completely agree. It's always good to, have as much information as you possibly can have. And it's great if it's rounded, especially, one person is more oriented, in this direction, the other one is a little bit less of a degen, like we just said, and so you really get, a rounded and holistic picture. And then you are in the best position to decide for yourself, what makes sense for you, and you grow by following and learning from the best. And that is what we're trying to solve for our members, and that's what we're doing here today.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me. So this has been a lot of fun for me. I just love talking about finances and life and everything. So yeah, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much, James. So everybody, now James's NFT will be mintable, and we're looking forward to welcoming all of you to our club. And I look forward to be seeing many of you on our Discord server. My name is Manu. I'm also the moderator on the Discord server. So if you have any, problems, issues, or any suggestions, even, you can always find me on the Discord server every single day, well, almost every single day. And I'll be there for you for everything that you might need, and make this, this journey, this investment journey that we're all sharing, a very pleasurable and also fun journey for everybody involved. Because investments shouldn't always just be dry. It should also be fun. You should, broaden your horizons a little bit here and there. Look at what other people are doing, because that's in the end how you get successful, right? Thank you so much, everybody.
I couldn't find the mute button, but yeah, absolutely, you are right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today. As I said, I will do my best. By tomorrow, there will be a video explaining the Money Hero Club in detail once more. The part that today, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties of mine, couldn't happen the way that I wanted it to happen. And I thank you all for tuning in, and I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, audience. And yeah, appreciate you as well, man. Just great interview, and keep up the work. The more you do live streaming, the better you'll get. So just keep it up. You did a great job.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everybody.